Welcome back to Radiation Realities. I'm glad you're here for episode 3. Today, we're continuing our journey of separating fact from fiction, and I want to address some myths that cause genuine worry for many people. Let's approach these together with compassion and clarity. The first myth we need to address is that nuclear power plants constantly leak radiation into their surroundings. I understand why this concerns people. We want our communities to be safe. Here's the truth. Modern nuclear facilities are among the most heavily monitored industrial sites in the world. They operate within multiple layers of containment, and radiation levels around these plants are continuously measured. In fact, studies show that people living near nuclear plants receive less additional radiation exposure than the natural variation you'd experience from simply living at different elevations. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission requires real-time monitoring, and the data is publicly available. Any deviation from normal background levels would trigger immediate response protocols. The reality is that properly operating nuclear plants contribute virtually no measurable radiation to surrounding areas, often less than the radiation from the natural granite in your kitchen countertop. Another common fear is that any radiation exposure will make you immediately sick. This misunderstanding often comes from dramatic portrayals in media, and I want to ease this concern with facts. The truth is that radiation sickness, or acute radiation syndrome, only occurs at extremely high doses. Doses you simply won't encounter in everyday life or even most medical settings. We're talking about exposures in the range of 1,000 millisieverts or more, received in a very short time. To put this in perspective, a chest X-ray gives you about 0.1 millisieverts. A cross-country flight exposes you to about 0.03 millisieverts. Even a CT scan, one of the higher-dose medical procedures, typically delivers 10 to 20 millisieverts. These are nowhere near the levels that cause immediate health effects. Your body has natural repair mechanisms for low-level exposures. Now, let's talk about cancer risk, a topic that understandably causes anxiety. The myth suggests that any amount of radiation, no matter how small, dramatically increases your cancer risk. The reality is more nuanced and, honestly, more reassuring. Yes, very high doses of radiation can increase cancer risk over time, but at low doses, the kind you'd receive from medical imaging or background radiation, the risk increase is extremely small and in many cases not definitively measurable. Our bodies are exposed to natural background radiation every single day from cosmic rays, radon in the air, and naturally radioactive elements in soil and rock. We've evolved with this exposure. Research shows that the small doses from medical imaging, when medically justified, pose minimal risk, far outweighed by the diagnostic benefits. The linear no-threshold model, which assumes all radiation is harmful, is actually debated among scientists. Many studies suggest our bodies can handle and repair damage from low doses quite effectively. This brings us to a particularly harmful myth, that medical imaging does more harm than good. I want to address this directly because avoiding necessary medical imaging can have serious consequences. The truth is that medical imaging has revolutionized healthcare and saved countless lives. When your doctor recommends an X-ray, CT scan, or other imaging procedure, it's because the diagnostic information gained far exceeds any minimal risk from radiation exposure. Think about it this way. A CT scan might help detect a life-threatening condition early, when it's most treatable. The small radiation dose from that scan is insignificant compared to the value of that diagnosis. Medical professionals carefully weigh the benefits against risks, and modern equipment is designed to use the lowest dose necessary to get clear images. Avoiding medically recommended imaging out of fear of radiation is like refusing to drive to the hospital because you're worried about car accidents. The benefit vastly outweighs the minimal risk. Finally, let's address the myth that radiation exposure is permanent, that once you're exposed, the damage is forever. This misconception causes unnecessary long-term worry. Here's the reassuring truth. Most radiation exposure is not permanent. Radiation passes through your body. Unlike radioactive contamination, where radioactive material stays on or in your body, simple exposure to radiation doesn't make you radioactive or cause lasting changes in most cases. Your cells have sophisticated DNA repair mechanisms that evolved over billions of years of exposure to natural background radiation. Minor damage from low-level exposure is typically repaired completely. Even after higher medical doses, your body works to repair and replace affected cells. The exception would be extremely high doses that overwhelm your body's repair capacity, but again, these are doses you won't encounter in normal life or medical settings. The radiation from a medical X-ray or even a CT scan doesn't stay with you. It's a brief exposure and then it's done. Thank you for joining me for episode 3 of Radiation Realities. I hope this has helped ease some concerns and replaced fear with understanding. Remember, knowledge is power, and understanding radiation helps us make informed decisions about our health and safety. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.